welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today we're going to talk about a nonprofit agency that helps people who maybe are in credit trouble, behind on their bills, mortgage problems, helps you get it right. It is the Consumer Credit Counseling Agency, and my guests are Iris Borden and Adriann Foster. Welcome.
Good morning.
I did not know you guys existed. This is a really amazing service. Your offices are in Hampton, but you serve a much wider base, right?
That's correct, yes. We are licensed to service any consumer in Virginia. So as of late, since we have online services as well, that has gotten out, we serve people in upper Richmond area down to almost North Carolina.
And, you know, I hate to say it, but it's a lot of people who get behind on their bills, who get into credit trouble, who charge things or take out loans that they can't really afford. What happens to people in that situation? I think they get afraid, you know, to come forward, afraid to admit it, and don't even know how to fix it.
Yes, a lot of consumers don't understand the whole credit card game, even though they think they do. If they get overextended, oftentimes they don't react to creditor calls or letters and such. And the bad part is that they do not know of organizations like ours. And we are in existence for 70 years in this area. So the credit counseling came about in 1982 when the center realized that a lot of issues in the family for counseling came from financial situations.
It is the number one thing married people fight about.
Right.
You would think it might be something else, you know, there's lots of reasons, but finances can strain an entire family.
Absolutely. And then in 1994, we came out with our housing programs where we can help consumers prevent foreclosure on their mortgages if they fell behind for certain reasons such as job loss, divorces, illness, you know, which oftentimes happens.
Mm-hmm. I think, you know, especially during this, I know technically the whole thing hasn't been a recession, but there's been sort of a 5 to 6 years of economic downturn and little economic activity. And there's been wage stagnation and job loss, or people working in places where they're not compensated as well as they used to be. I mean, things have really changed for folks and they get in a bind. How do I find out about what you guys do, your agency, if I'm out there? Do you get referrals?
We get a lot of referrals. I have people coming and realizing the services are there, so they tell their friends and family members. Sometimes we get a chance, like today, to be out in the open and tell people about our organization. And that's pretty much it. So it's really, a lot of times when my clients come in for the first time, they tell me, oh, I never heard of you. I didn't know you were in existence. Mm-hmm. Now with the technology today, I think we are on Facebook.
We are on Facebook. We also have, our website is debtfreeonline.com. We partner with the United Way, so you can get to us through them and also through the NFCC, National Foundation for Credit Counseling. So we do have different technological avenues that you can find us through.
That's good.
So yeah.
What are some of the traps people fall into? How does someone, you know, get behind and then get so behind that they need help?
Some of it is just not budgeting right. People don't realize where their money is going every month.
When you live with your debit card, I don't think you pay attention the way it used to be when you wrote it in the checkbook and you could go back really easily and look.
And people were balancing the checkbook on a daily basis or weekly basis, but when you're swiping that debit card, you think it's fake money almost. Because you just swipe it, no, there's money in there. As long as it went through, there's money there. Mm-hmm. Well, if you have the overdraft protection where it's just going to take it and overdraft charge you, then you're just getting further and further behind every month.
I do think that's part of where it starts, because it's not, you know, it's not just that you owe the money you charge it. Those come with a hefty fee now if you bounce a check, as we used to say in the old world.
Yeah. And people don't realize that if you swipe the card and the money's not in there, that's the same thing than bouncing a check. There's not sufficient funds in the account. And banks charge $35 a bounce for those fees. And even though you don't really get in trouble with it, but if it gets too bad, you can get in trouble for that as well.
Well, yeah, because if you're, living paycheck to paycheck and close to that edge, you have to pay back the 35 or 2 or 3 of them.
Right.
Suddenly, that's a payment, a big payment
Right.
that you weren't expecting to make.
Yeah, and then the next month your paycheck's not going as far as you need it to go because you've got the paychecks are going in, automatic drafts, and then everything else is coming out, automatic drafts.
Well,
So
I think
people
the
are
automatic
watching.
drafts get people in trouble too. They
Yeah.
may, join a club or do something and they aren't careful about which day it comes out, or they don't really plan well. And again, when you're living so close to the line.
Right.
So what are some tips that you give people when you're getting them trying to get their finances back into the black?
Know your budget, first of all.
You have to have a written budget. If you do not have a written budget, you will not survive, because there's always something, always just $5, always just $8, always just $10. And by the 20th of the month, you realize there were 20 of this, just $5. So you're $100 short in your budget. Where's the money coming from? And that's when people start using credit cards for extended income. And it may work for a while, but eventually it's not going to work anymore.
Because people figure, I can make the minimum payment.
Right. And so they pay the credit cards with the income and buy their food and their clothing and other things on the credit cards. So eventually the credit card is going to be limited out. So now the credit card is limited out, but I still need extended income, so I get another credit card. And so they go back and forth, and sometimes people have 5 credit cards, other times I have people that have over 20 credit cards.
Oh, wow.
And everything is out of control, and they don't know how to handle it anymore. Now, by joining into the debt management program, they will have one monthly payment, and we disperse the money between the different creditors, which makes that a lot easier on their budget. When the consumer comes into the office, we have a one-on-one session, which is usually 90 minutes long, and I will sit them down and create a spending plan with them. And I expect for them to keep the spending plan in order for the situation to work.
That's hard. I mean, I think that's, first of all, I don't think people know how to create a plan or create a budget.
They don't.
Honestly, I don't. I mean, I have a general idea, but
Right.
I don't have a written budget. It's
Right.
hard. And it's hard to restrain yourself when you need something.
Well, that's completely incorrect, and that's where people go wrong. If you have a spending plan, everything has an allotted amount. You don't have to want for anything. You can do fun things. You can pay your bills on time. You can you have to have everything in your budget. Not only your rent, your utilities, and your food. You have to budget for unexpected expenses.
That's, I think, the trick. People don't put that in the budget.
Right. That's the first
Car
thing you put.
repairs. You think, I've got
put
the
away.
car payment, I've got
Right.
the insurance covered, but when something goes wrong,
Right.
which it will,
Yeah,
I'm not prepared.
And that's where people say, but I don't have the money to put it away. That's why you take it and put it first. You pay yourself first. Put it in a separate bank account. Put it in an envelope. So whenever there's the need to do something, you have the money. You don't have to go out and get extra credit.
Because even Christmas and birthdays, you should be saving for those
Right.
every single month. It's not just it's a one-time thing throughout the year, but you should be putting money aside for it every single month. So then when it pops up, you're not, how are we going to get Christmas presents?
And you have a
Handy-dandy
limit.
credit
You have a
card.
sense of what you're going to spend. And I
Correct.
think sometimes, when those holidays come around, you want to be big, you want to be grand, or you haven't planned for it, so you just kind of do what you want.
Yeah.
Right.
And
in all reality, once you start it out, it is very easy and very simple to keep it up. And there are different methods to do it. I always tell my clients about the budget and the envelope budget, where you get a box of empty envelopes and put on their groceries, gas, clothing,
Rent,
and
utilities.
extras, The big ticket items, not so much. Usually we write this check or have it paid through our online banking. But those things that may not necessarily occur every month. But if we put the $25 in the envelope for the clothing and we don't buy anything for a couple of months, we have $50, $75, $100. So we
Right.
can go out and buy it with cash. And the other thing is, for instance, gas, certain gas stations give you 10 cents off if you pay cash. So you can bargain if you have cash money. You cannot bargain with plastic, even if it's a debit card. Yeah.
Those are interesting tips. Now, so many people have had mortgage issues. It's either they got into a variable rate mortgage and the rate went up, or they had a balloon payment, or they just really took on more than they can handle, or they had a life change and their ability to pay changed. How do you help people who are maybe in danger of losing that house?
That's our foreclosure prevention programs. We are certified through HUD as well, and we report to HUD and NFCC as well. Usually the consumer will call in and let us know, I've fallen behind with my mortgage, I don't know what to do, the lender's not working with me, and hopefully they have not gotten with any of these companies that advertise very heavily. We will save your house from foreclosure by accomplishing a modification. In all reality, if the lender doesn't want to work with you, nobody can make anybody do anything. So
But there are some federal program or certified programs that can help, like you all.
Yes. And so we would get the client into the office for a one-on-one appointment. First thing again, create that spending plan. Find out what is the issue. Why are you at this point? Will you be able to make your mortgage payments in the future? Because if we help you one time and make the arrangements, you have to stay out of trouble with that.
Right. So if
you
the
cannot
payment's too much,
Right.
you can't ever get right unless you can
Correct.
renegotiate
You have
or refinance.
Right.
Or
And at this point, most of the lenders will approve a modification, which is the same than a refinance. It's just not, your credit score is not looked at, and the lender usually doesn't look at other debts like credit cards or loans or anything like that,
right.
so that they can fit the mortgage. And so they will reduce the interest rate and prolong the mortgage back to the 30 year, just like a refinance. And a lot of times that will help the consumer start from scratch because they put the arrears to the end of the mortgage and then make the payments on a regular basis. And then again, I will follow up 30 days, 90 days, 6 months to ensure that the consumer is still on the right track.
Okay, so tips for people, come in sooner rather than later, right?
Yes.
I think people, they're embarrassed or they dig a hole and they think, oh, I can get myself out.
Right,
and then the
right.
hole is so big by the time they reach out that
Correct.
it's much harder.
It is. And a lot of people are embarrassed and ashamed. And especially when we talk in a little bit older generation, I've never been in a situation, I've always paid my bills, I don't, and it's understandable, but most of the time, once I had the first session, the initial take-in session, and to determine what their best option is, they are really relieved, and they say, well, I wish I would have came sooner because this is really helpful, and the information and the education, which is our main reason for doing this, is educating the community to where they can become debt-free and stay debt-free and make better financial decisions.
Okay. And what do you notice? Maybe it's younger people are also, I think, probably having a hard time too.
Yeah, some of them, they've just got in over their head and they just don't know how to get out of that. But really, it's so much easier to help people if they're only a month behind than if they're 6, 7, 8 months behind. So really, it's get in as soon as you realize that there is a problem so we can get you that help.
Okay.
And a lot of the people that we get enrolled into the housing, we're also enrolling them in that debt management to help them with these credit cards and stuff too.
So I think, we don't teach this in the school, really.
No.
It's not part of the SOLs. It's not in the standard curriculum.
Right.
And I know as a parent, I haven't done a great job of teaching my own sons. I don't know where I learned it, but I think it is understanding finances and budgets and managing your money is a very hard thing to do. Everybody in this consumer economy wants things that they can't afford or can't afford right now.
Right, right.
And we don't like to wait. That delayed gratification is a hard thing for people.
Yeah, but I mean, if you go out and you buy a TV and you pay for it with cash, it's going to cost that amount that day. If you put it on a credit card, it's going to cost so much more because of all the finance charges that go with it.
That's right.
And the interest that accumulates every single month.
Okay, so you guys are a wonderful resource, and people, you said you're on Facebook, and how else can we get in touch with you?
Debtfree.com, debtfreeonline.com, Facebook, you can get through us through the United Way, and also through nfcc.com.
All right, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And thank you for watching. I know that all of us fall into financial trouble from time to time, and if you feel that coming on, reach out quickly. Don't wait until you're so far behind, because there are people who can help you get back where you need to be. Thanks for watching.